Hello everyone, this is day 43 of this video series that I'm doing, and today I'm going to talk about what losing money has taught me. So, while these losses are kind of just on paper right now, they're losses nonetheless, and there were lessons that I've taken from them, and I hope to share some of those lessons that I've learnt from losing that money today. So, it is tough, but I would say overall more good has come from it than bad, and here's why. So basically, what's happened to I guess beforehand, I was quite frugal. Well, mainly because I didn't have that part-time job that I started, but also because, I'm not from like the most well-off household either. So I've always kind of drilled into my head like saving, and I don't always go out to like eat, for example, and like small stuff like that, like being like seeing something on the store shelf that you want and just getting it. Like that's like a luxury that I like haven't had. So I've just always been, I guess, wired in a way that I don't spend much at all. And what I realized from losing the money is that this may sound counterintuitive, but it's that spending on those recreational things, like for me, it's buying a sandwich at my supermarket after every shift, but having that thing that you can buy, I guess, with the money that you've earned and you've worked hard for is actually really important in terms of like your mental well-being. So I found that, I guess, it affects my mental state when like when I didn't have it versus whereas where I do now, where now that I spend money on sandwiches, this sounds really stupid, but it just makes me feel like a bit better about myself, like investing and stuff like that. So instead of putting stuff in with no gain for years and years and making that really tough on yourself, maybe like set like a small portion of your money. Like that's what I've learned to do. Like set aside maybe like the tiniest little bit that you can just spend on yourself, even if it's just like a $5 sandwich, like I do after every shift that I get to eat and enjoy. And I guess like enjoy the fruits of my labor, literally. If that's like all it takes to, I guess, make your day better, and it'll do tons of help for you. So that's the first lesson that I've learned. And I guess losing money also teaches you, it kind of toughens you up in a way. Like, it makes you more of a mature person in terms of, I guess, dealing with that sort of stuff, because having to lose money, I guess, is probably one of the toughest things, because you think about all the things that you could have bought with that money. Say, for example, like if you lose like $100 while investing, it doesn't seem like much, but with that $100, you could have bought like a week's worth of groceries for a family of four. Like that's the stuff that you can think about sometimes. And when you put it in perspective like that, I feel like you can gain a new kind of way of thinking that allows you to really just gain like a bit of emotional maturity in terms of the value of money itself. And yeah, it's tough because that money's basically evaporated, but it is what it is, and you just have to learn from it. And I feel like I've become a much more mature person in terms of handling money, making sure that like not being, I guess, leeching off my parents and stuff like that. Like that's stuff that you learn from, I guess, getting a job. But in this case, I learned it from losing money, because I guess the only reason I got a job in the first place was to fuel my investing addiction, you could call it, I guess. Because for the longest time, I was just funneling money from that into there 100% of the time and all of it. So I never got to, I guess, reap the rewards. And so just losing that money is tough, and it makes you a tougher person and a better person in general. And so that also comes with making you numb, I guess, to the idea of losing money. It's this idea of, I guess, the hedonic treadmill, where it's a like where the human brain gets used to whatever state it's in. So if you're like, or if you've been rich, then you like you're used to that kind of lifestyle, and so you get used to it really quickly. But if you suddenly become poor, and then, okay, this is a really bad example, but what I'm trying to say is that when you reach a new level of low, like you get used to it pretty quickly because your brain is that like adjustable. That's what hedonic treadmill basically talks about. And so because I've lost money on paper, I've just like I've kind of used. I'm still like in the basically the worst situation. But if you compare now me to 40 days ago me, like if you go back and watch the first 3 episodes, then you'll see like the difference in between like the moods that's happened. Like I was still optimistic, but there was just a hint of just like kind of dead inside because I didn't know what was gonna happen, and now I still don't know what's gonna happen, but I just know that I'm gonna come out of it better and in a better place. And right now I'm in a better place, even though it's the exact same position as it was before. And it's crazy because the human brain can just adapt like that. And that's what you really learn from losing money, I guess. I don't know why I'm making this video. I just thought of it and thought it would be cool. So yeah, I'm trying to milk something from losing money. So just let me do this, okay? And then lastly, I guess all of it stems from what I said before on everything being like money being something tangible, and losing that tangible thing really just toughens you up, because when you lose something tangible, like you see minus $100 on the screen, you don't really feel it unless you one day take that out and you realize you have $100 less than what you had before, and now you can't buy that extra thing, that extra supermarket sandwich or whatever Lambo or whatever situation you're in. So that kind of like it all kinds of stems from there. And I guess it's also like it quickens the learning curve as well, because if you lose money and you're like, oh crap, like I've lost money, because money, we put this like significance on money, where when money is kind of the thing that I guess allows us to be free, like to use our time how we want it. That's the point of being financially free and not having to worry about money, because you don't want to worry about it. So the significance that we place on it, I guess, is a bad thing, but it can also be used for good as well. It can just like quicken your learning curve, I guess, and making sure you don't make that same monetary mistake again. Because like if there's no consequence for getting burnt, then you'll just keep doing it over and over again, right? And so a monetary consequence is about the toughest punishment you can probably give to someone, because that's kind of one of the main things that we exist for, I guess, is to go and get a job and then get rich, or get money at least, and survive. So taking that away quickens the learning process. Not a nice feeling, but that's what comes with learning, right? And I guess in this last part of this video, I just want to say, if I could go back in time and amend this mistake of playing with, I probably should have mentioned this, but I was playing with leverage. And so I took on leverage, which wasn't a good idea, because then I don't actually own the underlying asset. So I kind of got burnt really quickly when it goes down, because I didn't think it would go down, but whatever you think the market's going to do, it often does the opposite. So that's what happened. And yeah, do I regret it? Would I go back in time to fix it? Probably not, because teenage years are the time for, I guess, experimentation, where you can go out, lose money, and while you'll feel like really sick to the stomach about it for a few days, like in a few weeks you'll be fine, because you can bounce off of it and the losses are really small, and they're still like, you're still a child, so it doesn't really matter. You don't have to be in a rush like I was at the time. Like, I'm still in my teenage years. I realize I'm early to the chase. I realize that there's still a lot more. Like, I still have my entire 20s left to become a wealthy person, and then I can just enjoy it from my 30s onwards. So when you think about it in that perspective, I don't really regret this loss that much. I know that in a few years I will definitely not regret this loss as much, because I'll be in a much better place, and I swear by that. And yeah, I would not change a thing. So for teen years, do whatever you want. It was my work money, so my loss, I shoulder the burden. I learned from it, and that's what you learn from losing your money. So that's about all I have today. I just wanted to end this thing by saying that you should continue to take risks if you are young, if you have the risk appetite. Well, losing money is a good way to build your risk appetite, I guess, because, it'll toughen you up. But continue to take risks if you're young, because you won't be young forever. And that's all I have for you today. See you guys tomorrow, I guess, for day 44. See yous.